Where did she go?
Lena, this is all your fault.
It is so fun to have a little toy all to myself.
Welcome back to another Harley Quinn breakdown with Season 5, Episode 7. I'm noticing a trend with the last couple episodes where there's not a lot of Easter eggs and references within it, where instead, it's more just pushing the plot forward as we go into whatever is to come next. Where in this, we are now getting who the real villain of the season is going to be. Which, it's not actually Brainiac, but we'll talk about that as we get further into the episode. Because the first thing we have to pick up with is Frank being dead. Buddy was murdered, and now they're having a funeral for him, which was honestly just a meme funeral, just like Harley Quinn always does. You know, R.I.P. Frank, and I love the fact that they have all the plants there, because, you know, it's Frank, and he's got the plants, his friends, being at his funeral. And even one of the guys who's sitting there, he's smoking some flower. And if you know, and that's why he's on the plant side. I like to see that King Shark and Bane are there, but I was kind of wondering where Clayface was. Like, buddy, you were hanging out with the gang as well, why aren't you there? But it was nice to see kind of the mix and match of a few people there, even though I feel like a couple more of Harley Quinn's gang should have showed up for this. And I do find it funny that, of course, Frank has this ridiculous will that he goes over, and how he has the rag that Ivy has, and then she throws onto the casket just like he wanted, and they end up making Frankette a new baby. Not Frank, but made with Frank and Ivy's DNA, which he even comments later in the episode how it's a little freaky, because Ivy's technically his mom, and they made a kid. However, hey, they did make a kid, so now Frankette is around, so they've now replaced Frank with Frankette, their kid, and yeah, there's a new baby to go around. But that also means Harley and Ivy get to be parents, which is kind of nice. And of course, they just had to throw Sean in there to make him be a little shit disturber trying to eat Frankette when they get back to the apartment. You know, but I will say, Sean did get some pretty awesome moments this episode. The little shit disturber shark got to do some stuff, which I thought was fun, you know? Especially when it came later in the episode with Brainiac attacking. But before we got to that, we did have Lena telling our Harley and Ivy about Brainiac being the one that killed Frank, and setting them up on their rampage, but also setting them up to drop Frankette and Sean off at Bane's house so that Bane can be their guardian for the day as he babysits them. Which I think is kind of funny. Bane is gone from this like very weird arc where he was a meme, he got made fun of, and now he's a good dad. He's just a dad, and that's all he's doing. He's taking care of the kids, and he's having a good time. And I find it hilarious that Goldilocks got detention, and the way she got detention is they're kind of doing the rhyme from the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where they're talking about like how it's just right, and I can't remember the words exactly right now, but I do find it funny how they put that little implement in there, because Goldilocks and the Three Bears, she goes and drinks their soup, so it's all kind of tied to that, or their porridge, I mean, or whatever it was in that fairy tale. It's been a very long time since I watched it. Honestly, I probably should have looked it up before this, but it didn't come to my mind until like this moment. But hey, we'll continue going, you know what I mean, and then we get to the moment of Harley Quinn and Ivy jumping on a Brainiac ship to take him down for what he did to Frank. Which I do find it funny where you do see looking like Brainiac hasn't been doing anything bad. He's just depressed, he's lost his mind, and he's just sad as he sits eating computer chips on his chair watching the musical over and over and over again. Right here was a little suspicious too, where I'm like, if Brainiac murdered Frank, like how they set up in the last episode, having them show him say that Harley and Ivy need to lose something they care about as well, they just had him being depressed. So it seemed very off that he was the one that actually killed Frank. Soon after, we find out who really killed Frank, and it was Lena. But I do like how they put that in there where they kind of make you feel a little suspicious at first. He's not even trying to fight back. He kind of plays around with Harley as they do the musical, and then they shrink him and throw him in his own bottle. Like, Brainiac wasn't this big bad. He wasn't this big threat, and it didn't really seem like he was going to do anything that bad at that moment, where instead he just feels defeated after finding out Coco's been dead this entire time, and that he's just gone crazy. But because of that, he starts to destroy Metropolis, so then you don't feel as bad for him. But it's kind of like a mixed feelings where, okay, Brainiac's, you know, he's pretty bad. He's destroying Metropolis, but that's just because he has utter defeat. He's lost everything. Coco's died. Harley and Ivy are ruining his plans, and he's just kind of like in this rut. Until we find out that Lena is actually the secret big bad, where Lena's the one that actually murdered Frank, so that she could send Harley and Ivy after Brainiac to take him down. Like, just having Lena be this secretly evil person, which honestly, she's a Luthor, it makes sense. So we have her here, she does something bad, now Harley and Ivy need to take her down. Which was just such a major twist. I was not expecting Lena to be the one to do it. I honestly thought someone else might have done it in the end if it wasn't Brainiac, but I wasn't expecting it to be Lena. But to be fair, after the last couple episodes, she did flip-flop on Brainiac so quickly that I probably should have seen it coming, but I was still thinking that maybe something else was at play, because it felt a little too obvious. But before Ivy can get her revenge on Lena, Lena jumps away back on a Brainiac ship, and then Frank pulls Ivy into the green to get her to go save Frankette over her revenge. He still wants her to get revenge for Frank, but it's better to save Frankette first. which is then when we have this cool moment of Bane actually being somewhat of a hero as he takes on the Brainiac robots to stop them from destroying the school and killing the kids. Like, I like seeing this. Bane being this good parent, he's protecting the kids, he's being a hero. Bane has come a long way, and he's having some pretty cool moments as he protects the kids with Goldilocks on top of him as he makes sure that the kids don't die. And this is also where we get like Sean getting his moments as well, helping out, fighting the robots. Like, he's not being a complete shit disturber, but he's using his complete hunger for everything to actually help out the team, which I thought was fun. That was a little fun scene. And then Ivy coming in, like, all of them working together was fun. And then having Ivy also be a proud mom in this moment was so nice, where she saves Frankette, and she even tells Frankette about Harley being there as well, Harley being her second mom. So it's just like this really good moment of Ivy being a proud mom, which is something she hasn't really been able to do ever since Frank was a baby. So I really like how they kind of put that there. It's showing Ivy kind of connect with motherhood and having her care about someone once again, especially when she was a little distant from Frankette in the start of the episode. By the end, she realized what she has to do. She has to protect her and Frank's child, and she has to be a hero and protect her child, which I really like to see. But of course, they all got messed up by that giant robot, which pinned them all to the ground, and they're all gonna die until Harley lets Lena help her, making a deal with the devil and telling her she'll give her anything she wants as long as she saves Ivy. Which, of course, I knew wasn't gonna go out well. I thought she was gonna take something from Harley in that moment, but instead, they waited till the end of the episode for Lena to take Frankette. And Lena only took Frankette because she knows that it'll separate Harley and Ivy, and they're stronger together and weaker apart. So showing that Lena is the big bad as she connects herself to the Brainiac ship. Probably a higher intellect because she's connected to the ship, processing all the information like Brainiac would, which without her being a synthetic, it's kind of weird to see how she's connected to the ship, but maybe, with Brainiac's technology, it's slowly going to turn her into like somewhat of a synthetic, so she's not fully human anymore, and it's going to turn her into that robotic kind of evil version of another Luthor, which we know from the Justice League animated TV series. Brainiac has connected with Lex Luthor, and they have molded into one. And then in the comics as well, Luthor has connected himself with a Martian DNA and turned himself into a hybrid there as well. So Lex Luthor has, combined himself with other people before, becoming a stronger villain, which it looks like Lena's doing kind of the same thing, where Lena's the one connecting with Brainiac, well, at least his ship, and turning herself into this big villain where she's now going to control over Metropolis, just like how she wanted to with the Bottled City. So now she's going to want to be this ruler, just like how Lex Luthor would want to, and she's going to take it over. Especially with Superman not there, there's no one really to stop her. But of course, now it makes more sense Ivy and Harley taking on Lena than Brainiac. I mean, they were able to trap Brainiac in the little bottle, but it's because he was in this depressive state and he was singing along to the musical that he kind of got tricked, where now they're actually going to have to take the beat down to Lena. But that's really this episode. I feel like, again, there wasn't like a lot that happened during this episode that wasn't just like kind of pushing the plot forward, revealing who the big bad really was, giving us Frank's funeral, and then just having some fun moments within it. Like the last two episodes really haven't had a lot of Easter eggs and references. It's mostly been just kind of pushing the plot forward as we go into the final few, because there's episode 8, 9, and 10 to go through. And we're almost done the season. At this point, I don't really know how I feel about the season. I feel like it's been fun. There have been fun moments. I've liked a few episodes so far. It hasn't been like perfect. It hasn't been amazing, but it's been fun enough. And I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with the end of the season, especially with, Lena being this big bad, Brainiac being somewhat locked away. And it makes me feel like they're probably going to break Brainiac out. He's going to come to the realization that he should help humanity, take down Lena, and then go on his way. But honestly, we'll see. Harley Quinn is always kind of a chaotic show where you can't really predict exactly what's going to happen, because something will always kind of like just come out of left field and all of a sudden something else is happening. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this. But at the end of the day, let me know. What did you think of this episode of Harley Quinn? Were there any Easter eggs you noticed? And we'll talk about it in the comments down below. And if you like this video, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And you get to stay up to date with my Marvel, DC, and anime breakdowns. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next week when it's time to watch another episode of Harley Quinn.